All right, students, today we are learning about the Russian Revolution. And remember in your notebook to copy down your notes, the ones in red or bold print. Make sure that you get those down because that means it's really important information.
All right, the Russian Revolution. What's a revolution?
Revolution is some type of change, usually a change in the type of government that a country has, but a major change, some type of change.
What does it have to do with Lenin?
It looks like Lenin was the person that led this revolution. So Vladimir Lenin is the important person to remember.
Okay, and he was leader of this group called the
Bolsheviks, the Bolsheviks. And that is just the name of a political party. Just like in the United States, we have Republicans or Democrats, and they had the Bolsheviks.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. Now here he is at a rally, like a political rally, and he's giving a speech.
And telling them all about bread, land, and peace, or peace, bread, and land. Sometimes you might hear it different ways. But these are what he's promising the people and why he has so many people there, as he was promising them certain things if they became part of this Russian Communist Party. So he was promising them bread because many Russians at that time were starving. There were many, many serfs that were peasants and struggling just to have enough to eat. Those peasants, those serfs, were working the land owned by other people, but they did not have their own land. So Vladimir Lenin was saying, hey, come join me, and I'm going to make sure that you can have your own land instead of having to work the land of someone else.
That sounds like a pretty good deal.
I think that's why there's so many people there. And of course, peace, because at that time, you remember where they were fighting?
World War I.
World War I, and they were not happy. Why were they not happy being sent to the front lines of World War I?
Well, they weren't happy with this guy right here, Tsar Nicholas II. All right, Tsar. What does Tsar mean?
Tsar is just kind of a fancy word for a type of king. In Russia, they just called their king a Tsar.
Okay. Now, Tsar Nicholas II, he has a whole history of failures. He lost the Russo-Japanese War. Then he had this thing called Bloody Sunday. And the people rose up and he had several of them shot. All right.
And why were they so angry with him? They were not pleased because Tsar Nicholas, he was from this, I forget the word, the royalty.
Aristocratic?
The aristocratic. He was an aristocrat, which means he was from this royal family. So he really couldn't relate to the people. He wasn't looking out for the people. It was just for, himself and other rich people. He wasn't really trying to help out the serfs and the peasants, just sending people to the front lines. They were ill prepared. They did not have proper weaponry, right? They were sent over there to fight the Japanese and came up short because their guns were not nearly as sophisticated, or their weaponry, their uniforms. They even had shoes that were too tight on their feet and made them really uncomfortable when they were on the battlefield. So that's why they went and had that Bloody Sunday. They were not happy with him.
So they weren't happy with him about the war. They weren't happy with him about what happened on that protest. And they were really unhappy about World War I.
By the time that happened, they were just fed up.
Over half the Russian army was not only defeated, was killed during the war.
That's a lot.
All right, and by the end of World War I, the people were ready to turn against the Tsar.
I know I would not have been happy sending me off to war, and I don't have any training. I don't have any weapons.
So, before the end of the war, Tsar Nicholas was forced to abdicate his throne. What is abdicate?
Abdicate. Abdicate, it looks like from the context clues there that he had to give up the throne. So abdicate must mean to give up.
Mm. All right. And then when he gave up the throne or his power, Lenin took over.
So Lenin saw, hey, now he's got to give up the throne. Let me swoop in. I've got the support of the people. I'm promising them peace, bread, and land. I've got all these followers. Now's the time for the Bolshevik Party to swoop in, for us to really take over and change some things here.
And the first thing he did was pull them out of World War I. This made the people happy.
Mm-hmm.
The Romanov family, that is Tsar Nicholas II and his whole family, his wife, his kids, all of them were executed.
Even the kids? Why did they have to kill the kids?
Because those are future kings and queens.
They were the heir to the throne, and they knew if they left one of the Romanov family alive, then that monarchy could continue. And they're like, no, we're not going to have anybody left to take over.
And so Tsar was gone, and now Lenin can put in all of his changes. He changed the economy from private ownership to state-owned, where that means everything was controlled by the government.
So what is that otherwise known as, when the government has control of all the businesses?
I think it's called communism.
I think there's a Brain Pop video out there you guys will watch later about that. It's pretty good.
All right. And he centralized political power under the Communist Party. All right. Oh, here it is. This put all businesses under Lenin's control because he controlled the government.
And now he's controlling all the businesses. So definitely.
Until he died a few years later. All right. So Lenin was only in power for a little over 5 or 6 years. And then he died, leaving this guy to take over.
And I think y'all learned about this guy in 5th grade a little bit.
His name is Stalin.
I'm sure that looks familiar to y'all from 5th grade. This guy, whew, I don't know. For him to be the successor, that meant he came after Lenin. So he was his successor. But whew, I know I heard some really bad things about him.
So Stalin, he changed Russia from Lenin's communist dreams into a totalitarian state.
Totalitarian. It looks like I see total in there. Total. So he had total, complete control of everything? Is that what that means?
Everything. All of these.
Wow.
He ruled everything. His picture became put everywhere. Lenin became almost like a godlike figure in communism. In Russia under Stalin.
Man.
Now, you have got all the notes. What I want you to do is give me 3 causes on a separate sheet of paper. 3 causes, 3 effects of the Russian Revolution. Causes are what happened before the revolution. Effects are what happened after the revolution. Okay?
So for what caused it means why did the revolution happen, right? And the effects would be, so what happened because of the Russian Revolution afterwards?
Afterwards, yes. Okay? So think of this as before 1917, after 1917. All right. See you tomorrow.